Okay, came on here to talk about something that I think about actually quite frequently. But a big reason that I don't really feel super inclined, not necessarily to get married, but I don't feel like any romantic rush. I mean, also in all fairness, I am 20, so it's not like it's not like every person that I meet, I'm like, oh my god, I'm in love with you? Question mark. Like I'm not super inclined to get married. A, because of my age. B, because what I was going to talk about is the fact that nobody's actually in love anymore. Like, I'm watching this video of, I know that like influencer ship or whatever the fuck is not actually what like life is like. How my little craft in the back with freaking craft. I'm sitting facing away from the decorated part of the room, but I kind of like it. So, anyways, oh, I'm cold. I'm really cold. Is it worth having? Actually, that's why I need to get a freaking wash dryer set. Whatever. Whatever. Okay, here's what I was talking about. Oh yeah, nobody's actually in love anymore. My big thing is, as much as influencership or whatever doesn't reflect the real world, I feel like it is important for people to actually. I feel like, especially considering that the majority of influencers are from America, and I didn't even realize how pervasive the American mindset is to literally everyone, but you get taught as an American that your life, no matter if what you're doing is impacting anyone else negatively, that you are only responsible for the manifestations of your life as you care to give a fuck about it. Like, everyone in America, and I do say everyone as a very broad generalization, because unless you're making the conscious decision to detach yourself from like a colonized mindset, these things are very pervasive, which I like. It is so wild growing up and realizing that America isn't really the best country on earth, and then wanting to expand my horizons and possibly look into exploring other countries, but realizing that if I was to visit other countries with the current understanding of the world that I do, I might end up doing more harm than good. So I've been trying to make a lot of changes in my life, like being more conscious about the food waste that I make, more conscious about the energy that I consume, um, getting more acclimated to public transportation, um, learning how to build community and find comfort in, having my needs met by other people and meeting my needs or meeting other people's needs and understanding that to be an integral part of life rather than charity, because it's not a charity. I think one of the big things. What was I even talking? Oh, I wasn't even talking about them in the first place, but this is a conversation I so want to have though. But I think it's so wild because, yeah, at this point in my life, with all the predisposed because here's a really wild rhetoric to me. A lot of Americans will say that because we ourselves do not make up the people that are operating large companies like Chevron, Exxon, and Mobil, that we aren't responsible for our waste. Like people will be like, yeah, I'm using all this, but I know, but yeah, no, of course, it's the big corporations that XYZ that are contributing. So whatever I do won't make a dent in. Oh, what? I feel like even because that's also a very well-meaning rhetoric. People are like, it's showing that they are intending to do something other than something that they know is wrong, but they're equating their moral responsibility, or they're measuring their responsibility for it in terms of relativity to a corporation rather than actually just figuring out what is it that I don't even want to use the word owe because You know what? This is such a hard conversation to have because there's so many tangents that I'm realizing are necessary for people to understand what I'm saying in the way that I'm saying. Actually, no! I'm just gonna sit there and fucking talk about it. But my big thing is, even after all of the big things with these companies are ameliorated, if they were to figure out all their bullshit today, you'd still be littering. I don't even want to say litter, but you'd still have all of these individual habits. So I'm realizing that we don't have to look at our autonomy and relativity to these huge world forces, or else we will never use our autonomy to do anything good. If we are waiting for the systems to do it for us, the biggest role that we can play in getting the system to do it for us is integrating these things into our individual habits so that we have an organic understanding of why these things are important. And so that whenever they are solved on a bigger scale, then the world can just be a well-oiled machine rather than us still having to. Because after all these are fixed, long story short, here's my point. After all of these things are fixed, if all of these things get ameliorated in a perfect world, then we still have to deal with individual people being wasteful. Like, there is still going to be that as, like, the trash on the sidewalks. That's individual people. And I am in no way excusing the large, just a mass, aggregate effect of all these freaking corporations. But what I am saying is, if we are the constituency of all of these huge companies, if they are destroying the world in the name of the American diet for consumption, all of the things that we buy, the freaking TikTok shops, or the fucking Temus, it's mainly Americans. So as much as, yes, it may not be us that are making these executive decisions and whatnot, we are the ones that are creating all of the consumption standards that these companies are meeting. So yes, these companies are fucked in the head, but it's our diet for consumption. And I don't mean diet in an actual physical way. I mean just like all of the things that as consumers we are buying is what is creating these companies' idea of what they are going to do to meet that need. And of course but right now I'm not talking about the damn companies. I'm talking about us. And I feel like yeah. So back to the original point. It is so crazy because I feel like social media, or not even social media, but I feel like everything is so. Oh, wait, that's what I was saying about influencers. Relationships are so weird. I feel like the relationships are so weird nowadays because we have archetypes proposed for us in media. That goes without saying. But social media is weird in the way that it gives you so much content that there starts to be a hive mind. Like, there's so many famous people now that there's like a hive mind around. Like, these people are in charge of creating the moral culture that is handed over to like a whole mass of people. So say there's like 2,000, 3,000 influencers in the entirety of America that have a following of over like 150,000, 300,000, 200,000, whatever, some 100,000. Those people are who is largely in charge of shaping the attitude specifically of kids under the age of 18. Because before you really have your own agency to live your life as, I don't even want to say as an adult, because I'm 20 and I'm only just now feeling like an adult, but I still know that I'm not still officially per se. Like, I'm, by technics, yes, baby, I'm an adult, I'm grown. But I'm still low-key, like, I don't know. But it's the fact that, oh, but it's like, you are impressionable, and until you have that agency, you are really just copy pasting the things that people, and of course throughout that you're learning what you mean to yourself, who you are to yourself, all of those different things. So the level of that being true definitely varies from case to case, because I'm a babysitter, and even some of the babies that I work for are very autonomous. They know themselves, but also that's a replication of what they received of how to know themselves from the authoritative figures in their life. So now that more kids are being babysat by technology, and their authoritative figures in their life are the trusted adults that are really just trusted parasocial relationships to people over the age of 18, are these influencers. And it's so few people in relativity to how many people that they impact, but so many different opportunities for people with any sort of message to impact these kids' minds. And of course, all of these things kind of go without saying, like these are like widely acknowledged truths. But I feel like for me, whenever I think about it, if I'm having a revelation, chapter 13 and 17, they shall hunger no more, neither shall they thirst no more. Preach up. Bum, 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 bum. Whoa. What was I even talking about? Best freaking yogurt ever. Guys, this past month, I think I've like actually gotten my shit together. I've been saying that all year. I'm like, this year is the year that I'm gonna get my shit. It's so exciting. It is literally the most exciting thing ever. I was like, I love my job. Jobs plural. I have like 5 of them. My schedule is great. I'm actually finding myself in a place where I'm communicating what my capacities and my needs are to the parties in my life. And I'm also out of this stage where I am casually lying. I didn't realize that that impacted my life as much as it did. But I realized there are certain times where I'll just tell a lie because it's convenient, or because it gives me a chance to avoid shame. Like if my boss is asking me for an assignment, or no, here's a better example, because this is why I stopped doing it, because I'm like, this isn't acceptable for the workforce. This might cut it in class, but they still didn't cut it for the damn workforce. But here's the case. So for classes, actually, I never lied to my teachers either. I just had a really shitty year. I feel like I convince myself all the time, oh, bitch, you're lying. Well, there are certain white lies. That's why I'm trying to figure out one, because I know that it's not as overarchingly true as it was whenever I think about it from a bird's eye. But it's like there are certain, so I want, for the sake of the example, but I'm like, yeah, I actually did, especially this year, I was like, I am going to make a very concerted effort to be completely honest with all of my teachers. Because I feel like whenever, long story short, if I make a white lie, or a lie that is small but beneficial for like just myself, it's something that I have to keep up with, and it robs me, most importantly, it robs me of the opportunity to communicate to that person where I'm actually at, and gives them kind of the understanding that I'm at somewhere other than where I actually am. So here's what happened last quarter. So there was a really bad instance that set me back so bad financially, and I'm completely financially independent. So that really threw a wrench in my life really badly, like to the point that I wasn't able to eat consistently for like a while. It was really horrible, but I'm so happy that I've been able to see all my time. I'm so happy. Because now I'm like looking at my table. I have literally a full ass meal. Like yesterday I sat down, I had a feast. Oh, I had a feast. And okay, but long story short. So that happened. And that was really freaking hard to deal with, because I was 19 at the time. I mean, not to say that but it feels so hard and isolating being. I live so far off campus, so I feel like it's already feels very isolating. Willingly so, though, because first things first, living on campus is so freaking expensive. I literally cannot. I can't do that. I cannot do that. Um, so I'm not mad at the price that I'm paying because I love my house. I love this life. I love my house. Um, but yeah, so that had happened, and in the interim, before the end of because it took to the end of the term for me to actually tell my teachers, because I was like, this is quite a big deal. I don't know how to address this. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before that and I'm just like, I have no clue how to communicate this. So I was just like lying to my teachers about when my assignments were coming, because it was really hard, because I really like, it is so hard to focus in class whenever your stomach is fucking turning the fuck up and you're sitting there trying to take notes and you're like, hey, I need to eat. And like, I was just super sluggish. I was sleeping all the time, because what else do you do if you have no fuel in your damn tank? You're not driving any freaking where. So literally, I was so depleted on energy, but I was so embarrassed at not having the capacity to do these things, and having a circumstance that was putting me in this position that I was like, oh my god, I literally. So I would tell these little eyes, oh, XYZ, I'm turning this assignment in just a little late, like XYZ because of XYZ. Or no. Or sometimes I just wouldn't say anything, because it wouldn't be something that, because I was like, oh my god. But then it's like, who is that helping? Because it's sure as hell not helping me. Because at least if I tell them, whether or not they receive it, that opens my options. It allows me the autonomy in that for me to move forward with the context of with the situation that I'm in, being able to set the context for what my options are. I was robbing myself of the opportunity to have possibly allowed my teachers to accommodate me, because I was too ashamed. And that's why I'm really, the biggest journey that I've learned, or the biggest journey that I've been on this year, is learning how to work past and through shame. Because as I think I've said briefly in, the past 17 minutes and some change, shame is the least autonomous emotion. So if I'm feeling shame and I'm going to stay stagnant, but I'm in a period where everything is moving and quite quickly around me, then I got to take that shame out of the equation, or else I'm going to stay shock shell. Oh, so sucked. So sucked. I'm like, I have so many things that I want out of this world. So many important things that I have yet to pour my energy and myself into, that I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I owe myself the opportunity to be completely honest with everyone in my life, so that, and also a big fear of mine is dying young. Not necessarily, because I don't have anything that would predispose me to dying young, although I have been getting these premonitions. Not necessarily premonition is, and it's totally a premonition, because a premonition, or no, is a premonition like a ghost? No, but it could be, right? But I mean like more like a premonition. Fucking premonition. Strong feeling that something is about to happen, especially something unpleasant. I got a premonition. Got a fucking premonition that I have very serious heart malfunction disorder. But I have no clue. Oh fuck, what is that? Okay, it's not a big deal. But I genuinely have such a, because also the weird thing is, that's why I'm not too keen on taking my ADHD meds all the time anymore. They make me feel like my heart was actually going to fail. Not in a way that it's like, oh my gosh, my heart is just beating so fast. But I'm like, to the point that I'm like, this cannot be regular. Oh my gosh, this cannot be regular. Like, I'll just be chilling out, taking my meds. And I take them as diagnosed, if not less, because they make my heart feel. But if I take them as diagnosed, it literally feels like I'm having a genuine, like a health issue. And I'm like, this does not feel right. And I trust my body to tell me every single thing that is up with it. It has never failed me before. Well, I think that the times that it's failed me are the times that I haven't. No, because it didn't fail me. It was me not listening to what it is that my body was trying to tell me, which is scary because I'm like, yeah. But what I need to do, I'm trying to be very I'm trying to be very calculated with how I proceed in every single way, shape, everything in my life. Because I'm like, there have been a lot of times that life could have been easier if I had taken the time to ask myself what it is that I needed out of the situation. And this is one of them. And what I'm asking of myself right now is that before I turn 25, that I see to every single facet of my health that I could possibly need to see to, so that I know what it is that I need for success after that time, that I will not be able to get covered by someone else's insurance, or my dad's insurance. So yeah, or however it works. I'm not paying for insurance. Am I paying? Well, I'm not paying for it, so I don't know if insurance. Oh, fuck, but I have to go. Jesus Christ. Feels nice. Because I'm also like, one of the biggest reasons, most chronic illnesses, especially in the United States, are preventable or treatable, but the barrier is the lack of resources for them. So I'm trying to make sure that I am doing my due diligence to get every single thing that it is that I need to be well, or to get every bit of information. That's why I'm like, I try not to rush myself with learning certain things because it makes me be like, no, I'm stuck gonna do it. But my big thing is that I've realized is, oh, knowledge is ever so literally power, and the only timeline that I have to set on it is learning it before the world gives me cynicism not to. So that still is kind of a time limit because I'm growing cynical. I'm realizing the thing that takes the youth out of adults is not aging, it's the cynicism. It's the steadfastness in everything that it is that you've known, because it's that stagnancy that you see. It's the lack of understanding of dynamic. Like, adults will literally just, and that's a big reason that I'm like, I can't have married and have children and settle down in the fucking suburbs. Because Americans are attached to this idea of permanence that the rest of the world doesn't honor the same way, which is beautiful because permanence is not human nature. But there's this like paradigm that anything that you learn is law. That's why, well, no, I don't want to say that. That's not true. Yeah, actually. Like, there's this, paradigm of permanence that it's like, oh, you have to settle down and be miserable, and that's your duty to society to have children and be miserable with that. I'm like, I literally can't do that. Or you have to settle down and be miserable in this job because it gives steadfast income, even though it makes you want to kill yourself and takes away your creative tendencies and all of the things attached with that. What? Especially whenever I'm realizing my creative tendencies, my understanding of the fact that nothing in front of me is going to be in the same form by the time that I'm done with it. That is what brings me ideas and joy and innovation and drive, and the want to build community to share my creative projects, and the want to build community to make sure I have all my needs for my creative projects, and the want to build community so that I have company for my creative, like, all of those things are what bring me my humanity. So I am so comfortable accepting the dynamic, just the variability around what any of that looks like, because I'm like, I will never know what serves me until it smacks me across the face and says, I serve you. I will never. So cynicism is that steadfastness in your predisposed tomorrow. That was a good ass bar. Cynicism is that steadfastness in your predisposed tomorrow. It's that understanding that, no, it's the belief that whatever I believe is going to happen tomorrow is going to happen tomorrow. And that's just that. That is just that. And I'm like, what? And cynicism isn't always a negative thing. Like, it's negatively connotated for sure, because it, to me, has negative implications. But I'm like, I want to live a life that just accepts and provides room for variability. Not provides room for, but enables variability. Because it's the understanding that every single day brings something new and exciting. And even if it's not grand and new, I'm having just having conversations with myself that I didn't feel, I am just the type of person where it's like, how boring would it be to wake up every single day and live the same freaking life? How boring would it be? How boring would it be? So I try to find ways in every single day. And even if I am on a day-to-day, eating the same breakfast, having the same, because I like routine though, having the same routine, XYZ, that is not the same day as the last. You better believe I'm coming up with new ideas, working on new projects, and all of those things. As much as I'm like, I would love to have kids, and I would love to have a spouse, and I would love to have actually married suburban life, because there are so many beautiful things about it. It's also the fact that the way that the world works around me outside of my perfect little world may not provide the future of variability that I hope it to. I feel like if I settle down into one reality, I will become cynical, because everything that I imagine for tomorrow will be tomorrow. Because to have kids, at least in today's America, because I don't know enough about how the rest of the world operates with how they value kids, what their childcare systems look like, what their educational systems look like, for me to cast this as a generalization. So even more specific, in my observation of the American experience as a native-born American, sorry, frog in my throat. And let me not, my thing is, actually, I don't like, like, there is something very cynical, not cynical, very, like, weird about, I feel like I can accept my discomfort with my understanding of how the American mind has, that I have an American mind, without, being, like, all weird about, because I'm like, I don't like this country's origins, its history, its mentality, the social structure, XYZ, but I am so privileged to be able to live here that I feel like it doesn't feel completely right to be like, oh, America, barf. Because it would be a dishonor to all of the martyrs to this country for me not to at least acknowledge how much. So I'm like, I'm trying to do that thing where I'm like, as much as, it's like funny, whatever, I'm like, does that actually reflect how this thing needs to be honored? Because I'm like, it was too many people killed on American soil for the sake of the rights that I have today. That, so I'm like, I do not love this country. I do not pledge allegiance to this country. But what I do acknowledge is all of the people that gave love and life to this land before they were displaced or killed or had their symbiosis disrupted by colonization. All of the revolutionary people from my race and outside of my race that have contributed to my ability to sit here today with agency over myself and not having to report to anyone. Like, even just my understanding, even what I'm saying right now about variability literally would not have been possible. Like, even like 30 years ago, like, there are a lot of things, like, even just the social structures were not, I would be a Spencer or a Shrew. Well, I'm still like, Spencer, it's a Shrew. I don't give a fuck. But the fact that I cannot give a fuck right now and it wouldn't majorly impact like my job prospects or XYZ. And like 6 years ago was the civil rights movement. And like thinking that like my dad grew up in a segregated, actually no, he grew up in Nigeria. But that he experienced a segregated America is crazy. Another thing that's really crazy is I was really like the importance of, I don't want to talk about this right now. And I'm going to write about this for a column. I'm starting. Oh, I hope I really do that. I am going to do this. It's not even, I hope. It's like something that would bring me so much joy and that would liberate me and get me a chance to like just be so awesome. But I'm starting a newsletter. I think I'm going to call it Bake ZD Makes the Ladies Get Naked. I have no clue. I'm trying to figure out what my different columns are going to be. But I'm just super excited. I have so many just projects that have, and these projects have been humanizing me throughout the whole year. It's like, people are like, oh, do you even have enough time for XYZ? Not really. But it humanizes me, and then it gives me the, just, yeah, the mental space and the mental capacity to be able to do all the things that I have to do so that I can do the things I want to do. And I realized through that creating and crafting is something that I have to do. I have to. I will burn out so fast and be so much more of a debt to society than a credit that I'm like, hey, baby, you're welcome. I'm like, I love my life. I really like my life. But yeah, that's that.